Panagdait sa tanan ug sa tanang kabuhatan, we are the Group 4. Our topic for today is collective behavior and social movement. This topic tackles about the behavior of a person to his daily life and interaction to other people. It is aimed to create a harmonious community to solve problems to other country and issues to our society. First, we're gonna tackle about collective behavior. So, collective behavior is group behaviors. It's not guided by own norms and values such as those observed in crowds, fads, disaster, panics, and social movement. This is organized behavior in unstructured situation. So, collective behavior is that your behavior in front of crowds on or disaster, or if you are panic, this behavior also can be transmitted or influenced by you. So there are researchers that define collective behavior. So for Zaden, collective behavior refers to ways of thinking, feeling, and acting which develop among a large number of people in which relatively responses or unstructured. So for him, collective behavior is a thinking or a feeling that can be influenced or affect to you. Your emotions can alter your behavior. So, for Rose, her collective behavior is refers to relatively non-routine action that engage large often anonymous group of people. It is entails episode that differs from one more habitual repetitive behavior that characterize our daily lives and primarily follows established norms and patterns. So, collective behavior is the behavior that you are being influenced and regularly doing it by daily. So, this behavior is affected to you or your your interaction to other people affect your behavior. So there are also the theory of Turner and Killian. He defined collective behavior. So collective behavior for them forms of social behavior in which the usual conversation case to guide social action and people collective transcend bypass or subvent establish institutional patterns and structure. So this behavior is uh, your usual your not usual behavior. You are affected by it in a day and you are going to adopt it. This behavior, he defined behavior that it has guide social action and people that you are interacting. So, collective behavior suggests that term is not easy to define for it. It includes a rare behavior, process, and structure and context. Because there are so many reasons that it can alter your behavior or it can change your behavior. Why do we have to study collective behavior? So, there are reasons that give why we study collective behavior. One is knowledge of how people respond to panic situations such as in smoke-filled auditorium can lead to better architectural design or better crowd management and training personnel to prevent unnecessary damage and loss of life. So, with studying collective behavior, we can study people if they are going to have episodes. Knowledge of crowd behavior in prison riots or civil disorder can reduce loss of life and injured and help prevent conflict from escalating disruptively. So, with studying collective behavior, it gives us knowledge how we can handle someone if there are crowds of riots or there are fighting in their peers. So other is research studies during is disasters such as floods, earthquakes, tidal waves, and nuclear accidents have been useful to disaster planning or control efforts. So also with studying with collective behavior, it can help also other people, for we know how to 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 address the problem if there are positive negative negative disaster that will happen. It can give us a knowledge how we can address the panicking issue. The fourth is knowledge of collective behavior provide insight and answer to some basic question about human beings. So it can help us understand other human beings and what the difference from them to another to have a better solving problem. So the fifth is the message in the placards and the chart and song of protesters can tell us about the powerless and hopelessness felt by this group. So it can open our minds to other possible people that are experiencing this episode. It can help us to understand them and identify them from the crowds. So number 6 is understanding modern history and social change dynamics associated with industrialization, urbanization, modernization requires some knowledge of mass movement. So to build or to prepare for our future, we have to study the modern history for us to know how we can solve this problem of collective behavior, and also it can give us knowledge of how we modernize our society today. So number 7 is collective behavior can mean challenges to unjust authority, liberation, and renewal such as EDSA Revolution of 1989. So it can protect us or it can prevent us from revolution to the future. So there are 6 theories about collective behavior. The first theory is the ignorant mass theory. In this theory, there are also theories about collective behavior. There are 6 of them. The first collective behavior theory is the ignorant mass theory. In this theory tackles about the uneducatedness, thoughtless, and the impulsive behavior some people do things without the very reason why such activities. So this theory talks about the people who are not educated or not knowledgeable enough to do their action in events or in specific happenings. So the two is the rational decision making approach. So in this theory, it is the opposite of the ignorant mass theory. This theory is brought about they prove that they are brought about of rational and intelligent decision when someone is confronted. So this is like a adrenaline rush where you are in the position that you have to make a decision to yourself. So the other theory is the emergent norm perspective. So this theory discuss about the different expression and the emotion. So they didn't care about anonymity. So they different the unstructured social behavior. They are guided in emergent norms and individual definition of situation. So they 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 protect that individuals have different emotion or different values or norms that they have adopted. So there are different reaction to every person in the situation. So the fourth is emotional and social contagion theory. Lebon argued that transforming individuals into a crowd puts them in the position of collective minds that makes people think, feel, and act different from the way they would if they were alone. So, this theory is the 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 means of people position in a tight situation. They have to act differently when they are alone with but if they are with crowd or with people and they have to make or feel a decision, they have different reaction when they are alone and if they are in public. So the fifth is convergence and perspective. So this theory, convergence perspective, is holds a participant in a collective behavior are motivated by common sense with them. So this theory protects the similarities of characteristic, social class, and income, educated interests and needs. So it depends to the person who are in decision making, and they will act a collective behavior if they are in a tight situation or a perspective is ha- that has different from others. The other is the sixth theory is the value added approach. So this approach is according to Semelsi. So it is it is the certain condition which may bring about collective behavior. So it is maybe a person that is in that situation that reacted collective behavior have a, a condition about their health or mental health. So maybe that is the reason why they acted like that. So there are preconditions for collective behavior. For Neil Eslemer, mali. Hindi na tumaydot no? Nabay din na maakat. So there are preconditions for collective behavior. For Neil Ismelser founded that collective behavior does not simply spring up at any time in any place. So he he said that collective behavior uh, uh, is not simply that adopted in that time, but according to him, typically precede an episode of collective behavior. This condition or determining factors occur to sequences. So there are factors that made them act like that, or there are reasons they acted like that. So it has six conditions. So the first one are the structural one is the conduciveness. This structural is that the person is acted like that because it really is the way he acts. And a condition must favor collective action. So before we judge, we should look at the action or why he acted like that. So the second is social and structural strain. So in this condition, people are divided by their differences. So the sudden disruption of existing social order. So they are acted because of the social order or the social social identity of a person in the society. So why they acted like that, or why is their action like that? So the number three, uh, the generalized belief. So the generalized belief is participants develop vogue perception of the event or the situation. So it is a person that is handling an difficult event or a situation. It a generalized belief is a belief that people would be acting like that. It is voice that threat more inhumanent to the person to act like that. So the fourth is the precipitating event. This condition is a dramatic episode that happens to confront people's generalized belief. So a generalized belief is a belief that is happening and then someone would react. And precipitating event is that the person is dramatically express or episode that happened to them and panic to the event or the situation. Fifth is the mobilization participant. So this mobilization participant is when the upper hand or the leader give an opinion, the people will react. They will react on their emotion, or their belief will be the one that is important. They panic and have opinion to other people and wanted to believe to their opinion and follow it. So the sixth is social control. Social control attempts to stop or deflected the collective behavior may only fuel the mass hysteria with the intensity of zeal, mass action, and social control effectiveness. So social control is a social uh, uh, social prevention, or it will control people to act like that. So rumors and gossip. A rumor is unverified stories that circulate from person to person and accepted as fact, although it's not. So rumors are uh, unverified stories that are circulating or circulating in towns or in your classmate or person to person, but it is not a verified true, or the sources is unknown. uh, Gossip is involves with knowing facts. So ang gossip is want to know the facts. So gossip deals with the personal affairs of the individual, whereas rumors. So ang rumors is just a hologram, where our gossip is the one who want to fuel the rumors. So with gossip, it can confirm, or it can verify the sources if it's true or not. But rumors can be manipulated by adding some words and details for it to be believable. So there are types of collective behavior. The Bloomer classified collective behavior into groups: mass, public, fashion, and crisis and disaster behavior. The number one is crowd. So crowd, these are temporary collection of people gathering around a person, an issue, an attention-getting object, or an event. They are short-lived, present-oriented, and relatively unstructured. So, crowded is more people. So, there are people that are gathering around because there is something happening, or there is an interesting happening in that person or object. So, there are characteristics of crowd. So, the first is mailing. Mailing refers to the physical, verbal active of people in the relativity unstructured situation. person that hindi nagpapahalatang gustong makinig. So, milling is seeking to find the truth but avoiding being caught. So, the second is anonymity. So, anonymity is shown when the members of the crowd are not collectively and individual identified. So, hindi kilala yung mga taong nasa crowd. But they are willing to know the crowd. So, the spontaneity, the third one, refers to the facts that the members of the crowd join the group spontaneously or voluntarily. The members are motivated to join the collective due to intense interest or emotion or plain curiosity to attention-getting simulation. So, these are the people that gustong makisali. Kahit hindi kasali, gustong makisali. The fourth one is circular interaction. The circular interaction is the mutual intensification of the feeling experienced by the members of the crowd. This refers to the devotion or spread of the particular emotion of the crowd. So, ito yung person na mutual intensification of the feelings to the event or the person that are being interested into. So, the fifth is the heightened suggestibility. So, this characteristic of a crowd refers to the greater tendency on the part of individual to respond uncritically to suggestions of the leader of the group. So, this person will give an opinion of what he thinks or what is the opinion to the decision of the leader. So, the next are we're gonna discuss the types of crowds. The first one is the casual crowd. So, the casual crowd refers to the Spanish congregations whose members come and go, giving them temporary attention to the person or the object. These are the person na wala ra kay pakialam sa interesting or sa issues sa gitapukan. So, nakura siya, ana. So example of this is the people gathering around a display in a department store. So, people that is casual crowd is he will look the display in the department store, then she will go or he will buy it, then go. So the second is conventional crowd, refers to unplanned gathering of a people at specific events at the defined place and time. So this is a type of crowd that is planned to gather in a specific event. So, this is a type of crowd that is an audience. Audience lang siya, pero nagtapok sila. There will be a friend that will call a friend that na ay issue, na ay gatherings, na ay crowd na nagtapok or interesting topics, then they will see or be an audience to that specific interesting topic. So, the third is acting crowds. These are the crowds that refers to an emotionally excited Voltaire collection of people who focus on controversial event that provokes their indignation, anger, and desire to act. So these are the people that are uh, excitedly provoke an act like a riot, a prison brutality, anger, rialsis. So these are the persons that want to express their emotion or excitedly express their emotion to the crowd and provokes that indignation and anger and desire to act the action. So the fourth is expressive crowd. This refers to an emotionally charged congregation of people whose members are carried away by enthusiasm and other intense feeling. So this is the expensive crowd. Example of this, the rock festival, revival meeting. So these are the crowd that are excited to be happy to be in that crowd and emotionally change organization of the people. So they are part of the crowd and want to be happy with the crowd because they are doing something and they're feeling good. Okay. The last type of crowd is panics. So panics refers to a situation in which people are largely affected by the fear or collective flight. Example of this is panic buying. So people panic buying because they are afraid of losing opportunity to buy something. So these are the types of crowds, the characteristics of crowds. The mm, the second the second types of collective behavior will be discussed by my co-reporter.
So, panagdait ma'am, my topic is all about mass, fashion, fads, craze, disaster behavior, public, and division of public. So, what is mass? Masses refers to a diffuse collectively of people, each responding independently to the same stimulus or event. It is made up of anonymous members from all strain of society and all walks of life who are concerned only about their individual's condition. So, ang mass daw kay nag-refers to a large group of people who all react separately to the same thing. They came from different backgrounds and only care about their own situation. So, ang example ani niya kay ang pilgrimage to Mecca or Jerusalem, migration of US, evacuation, rush to places of miracles, and gold rush to Mindanao. Next is fashion, fads, and craze. So according to Panoply 2004, fashion, fads, and craze are forms of diffuse activities or mass interaction. So what is fashion? Fashion refers to a relatively short-lived socially approved variation in clothing and adornment, art, housing, and furniture, and other areas of behavior. It is the prevailing usage of model of behavior or the prevailing interest of the society. It is certain upon the spread of change in taste and lifestyle. So sa atong panahon karon, ang trends are temporary changes in things like clothes, arts, housing, and behaviors that society approves of. Gipakita nila kung unsa ang sikat ug kung giunsa ang pag-uswag sa mga gustong estilo or style sa kinabuhi sa mga tawo. Ang example aning fashion kay modern trends in hair and dress styles, unisex styles, Christian Dior look, use of cell phones. Next is fads. Fads refers to passing fancies or novelties of interest related to some trivial deviation from the conventional behavior. They involve minor modification or decorations of dress, mannerism, or other verbal developments. So, ang fads are short-lived trends that involve small changes or decorations in clothing, behavior, or language that deviate from the norms. Fads often arise due to the desire of novelty or the influence of popular culture. Ang mga tao sa karon kay attracted na sila sa mga ingani kay they offer a sense of excitement or uniqueness, but they tend to fade quickly as new fad emerge. Ang example aning fads kay kining use of homosexual language and slang words. Next is ang craze. Craze refers to a new activities which become important in the life of the community. So according to Stark in 1987 calls it transiente infatuation. They are usually very fleeting in duration, generate interest rapidly, and after the excitement, they collapse suddenly. So, ang example aning craze kay kaning mga dance craze, computer games craze, o mahjong craze. Next is ang disaster behavior. This type of behavior is elected in times of disaster and calamities, such as earthquake, volcanic eruption, typhoons, or hurricanes and epidemics. It combines panic, crowd, and mass behavior. So, kining disaster behavior happens during disasters like sa mga earthquakes, sa volcanic eruption, typhoons, or sa mga hurricanes. Then, when people panic, gather in crowds, and react collectively to the situation. So, during the disaster, ang mga tao or kita maka-experience gyud of intense fear and uncertainty. And it lead to individual panic reactions. And it can lead to individual panic reaction. So, samtang mangita patag lugar kung asa ta mas luwas, we may gather in crowd which can amplify emotions and behaviors. So, ang mass behavior emerge as people come together to support each other, seek assistance, or respond to the authorities' instruction. Ang example aning disaster behaviors kay kaning behavior observed during the Mount Pinatubo eruption, floods in Leyte towns, Baguio City earthquakes. Next is public. Turner 1987 defines the public as a disparate group of people interested and divided about an issue, engaged in discussion of that issues with a view to registering a collective opinion. Next is public opinion. Public opinion refers to a collective product of the discussion and arrival at the decision. It is the result of intelligent vis-a-vis an issue. It is expected to affect the course of action of some decision-making group of individuals. Then, the interaction in the public, such as discussion, debate, and the mass media, face-to-face contracts, humor, and the mass media. Ang example ani kay kaning people engage in discussion of character changes issues, imposition of death penalty issues, then U.S. military intervention issues, election scandal issues. So these issues serves as example in public opinion because it stimulates public discourse, shape political agendas, and influence policy-making policies based on the collective views, beliefs, and values of the population. So, next is division of public. So, there are 5 division of public according ni Turner 1987. Ang first kay interest group, second, disinterest group, third is pressure group, and fourth is following, and lastly is the neutral or listening public. So, ang interest group kay it is an immediate concern in the way an issue is met. It shapes and sets the opinions. So, ang interest group daw kay sa ka-organization or association that have a direct interest in specific issues. They are immediately concerned with how these issues are addressed because they work to shape and influence public opinion on those matters. So, in simplest term, interest group cares a lot about how issues are dealt in because they want to sway people's opinion and decisions in their favor. Ang example ani kay kaning mga political parties, business communities, o sectors, so on and so forth. Next is this interest group. It includes the spectators in the position of a judge. It holds a strategic and decisive place because the position and decision would determine which the competing would be carried out. So, ang disinterest group refers to a group of people who are not actively involved in a particular issues but still say in its outcome. Must, most, much like spectators acting as judges. So, bisan pa nga wala siya direkta nga nalambigit, ang ilang posisyon o ang ilang decision hinungdanon gihapon tungod kay sila sa katapusan kung unsa ang kompetisyon nga idea o plano nga ipatuman. In short, even those who aren't directly involved can still influence the outcome of a decision by expressing in their opinions and preferences. Next is pressure group. It is also similar to interest group, whose activity is to pressure decision-making bodies to act favorably on the side of the issue it is fighting for. It is also aims to manipulate public opinions affordable to their side. So kaning pressure group kay kuan same lang gyapon ni siya sa interest group. Dayon ang example ani niya kay kining the Catholic Church, workers associations in the business or commerce. Next is the following. Following is a group which interested enough to follow issues but which makes no attempts to form opinions regarding it. So, ang dissenting group is a group of people gihapon siya who pay attention to certain issues but don't try to form opinions about them. They stay informed but don't take a stand on the matter. In simply a term, they're like spectator gihapon, like spectator kining watching a game without rooting for either team. And lastly, kay neutral or listening public. Neutral or listening public, it is composed of individuals who have not yet decided which side is follow. So, a neutral or listening public consists of people who haven't made up their minds about which side to support on an issue. Dayon, they still decided and are open to hearing different perspective before forming an opinion. Dayon, murara ka o nasa tunga nga dili ka sure kung asa gyud ka padulong. And that's all.
Panagdait sa Dios ug sa tanan ug sa tanang kabuhatan. I am Carlo Ungay and this is my report. My report is all about meaning and nature of social movements. The term social movements in 1850 by the German sociologist Lorenstein. According to him, a social movement develops one's collective behavior, persists and becomes organized. So according to him, kani daw social movement is all about the collective behaviors, nga katong mga behaviors nga imo ang ma-adapt sa mga tao nga nasa imong palibot nga pwede nimong magamit sa imong daily lives o mahimo na siya nga kanang mga behaviors nga imuhang na-adapt gikan sa mga tao kay it is also will become an organized, so mahimo nimo nga mahimong ma-practice sa imong self, so pwede po nimo nga magamit sa imong daily living. So next, according to Keeler, sociology's social movement is a gathering of people which aims to change or the society structure or ideology in a concerted and deliberate manner, seeks to establish changes or reforms to promote a new social order in a new norms, and new values, and new goals. So according to Keeler, it is an organization nga murag isa ka grupo sa mga tao nga na-aim nga ma-change na-aim nga to change sa mga unsa toy mga behavior nga dili na kayo applicable sa atuang self or katong mga behavior nga murag dili na kayo useful as an individual. So pwede nimo siyang i-change, but as well as ang kanipong social movement napod siya ability nga mo promote og katong mga behaviors nga makatabang gid sa ato ang kinabuhi as an individual. So, and then next is the comparison of collective behavior and social movement. First is the collective behaviors, refers to non-routine action that engage large, often anonymous groups or people. It entails episodes of behaviors that differ from the more habitual, repetitive behaviors that characterize our daily life. So, ang kani daw collective behaviors and behavior nga kani nga mga behavior nga uh, dili ni gikan jud sa imuhang self kundili kani nga mga behavior gikan ni sa lain-laing tawo nga imuang na-encounter or na-interact sa matag adlaw nimong ang pagkinabuhi. So mo ni siya ang mga behaviors nga imuhala ni siyang na-adapt, dili gini siya considered nga init sa imuhang kaugalingon. So kani nga mga behavior na-adapt nimo ni siya tungod sa imong pag-interact. So for example, wala ka ni nga behavior sa bata pa ka, or the way nga ning interact ka sa mga tao sa pag-interact nimo sige nahimo ni siya nga murag nahimo na ni siyang na-adapt or nahimong imo nang na-practice sa imong self. So imo po siyang na-apply nga nakatabang po sa imong self nga to grow as an individual. So and the next is so on other hand nga kaning collective behaviors is differ from your habitual behavior. Katong imuhang kani nga itong mga behavior nimo nga perminti nimong nahimo nga init gid sa imong kaugalingon. So mura siya glawom-lawom siya gamay nga ani nga mga perspective or ani nga mga behavior. So kay isa po ni siya nga isa po ni siya nga kanang murag silbi ang individual kay we all know nga kita nga individual. So dili namo gid tay nagkadaiya nga mga behaviors. So pinaagi sa aning mga collective behaviors katong mga behaviors nga pwede di ay nga applicable di sa ato ang self or applicable di ay nga mahimo tang isa ka independent individual. So diri maka-adapt tag mga lain-laing mga behaviors nga gikan sa mga tawo nga nasa ato ang palibot. So and the next is the social movement. It is a form of behavior which also occurs outside the institutional framework of our daily life. It is a conscious, collective, organized attempt to resist large-scale change in social under by non-institutional means. So, ang kaning social movement, kay sa kuang ginaingon ganiya nga, kung siya ang mga behavior pod nga behavior which occurs the outside institutional and our daily life. So, mo ni siya ang katong mga behaviors nga nga nahimo na gini siyang na structure na gini siya sa imong self nga nahimo na siyang innate sa imong kaugalingon, or na po instances nga pwede pud siya nga it can be also a collective nga pwede po nimong ma-adapt sa laing tawo nga nahimo na siyang structure sa imong self, or katong mga behaviors nga wala nimo pero imong na-adapt nimo as an individual. So nahimo na hinay-hinay nimo tug apply sa imong kaugalingon o paminaw nimo nga nakatabang dito sa imong kaugalingon. So nahimo siya nga consider siya nga the structure, the formal structure of our daily life. So mo siya nga sa as individual nga na kani siya mo ni siya ang mga kuan katong mga behaviors na to sa atong kaugalingon nga aware na tadaan. So mo na siya ang different pod siya sa kaning collective kay natay mga behavior nga init gid sa tong kaugalingon. So aware na ta sa tong kaugalingon nga dili lang wala na nimo nakuha sa individual kun dili gikan gid sa imong kaugalingon nga imuhang ginabuhat or nahimo nimong daily routines. So and the next is according to Mark Trugot that collective behavior and social movement are separate phenomena. So dili gid sila pariha og fact, dili gid sila pariha og fact kay ang collective behavior is characterized by spontaneity and lack of internal structure. So wala siya, dili siya kanang ang collective behavior kay dili natural yun sa imong self, or dili gid siya innate nga matud pa nga innate sa imong self, and it is not in inner structure. So wala gid siya na struct yun sa imong struct sa imong na structure sa imong self sa bata pagkahantod nga ning grow ka sa person. So ang social movement kay have a high a degree of internal order and sustain a purposeful orientation. The highly structured have a well defined and status and norms and endure for many and have well established goals. So sa matutusong gingon nga ang social movement is a internal. So kani siya gagikan din siya sa imuhang self nga imuha ni siyang giact taga adlaw or imo gini siyang nahimo ni siyang murag na siya ikon ba useful sa imuhang kaugalingon as an individual na kini siya kay na structured na gini siya sa imong self sa gikan sa gamay hantod nga ning grow ka nga sa person o nahimo nga nakimo ka nga ang kaning kuan siya kay nahimo na siyang na naging nimo dili na gina siya dili na pwede nga mawala sa imong kaugalingon kay matus kay according to Mark Trugot nga ang imuhang mga behaviors nga na sa imong kaugalingon so imuha na gina di na siya unlike sa collective behavior nga pwede pa nimo na siyang mausab kay kada mga behavior na adapt raman mo sa lain-lain nga mga tawo nga nasa imong palibot so pwede pa nimo na siyang mawala sa imong self kay if nga kana nga behavior if makatabang nimo or is not being useful for your daily lives nga dili jud nimo siya magamit or not applicable to you. And that would be, I think that would be all. Thank you.
David Alberly have four types of social movement. Social movement. So the first one is alternative movement. In alternative movement is to refer the movement that aim to achieve some limited but specific change in individual. So like women's liberation. So it has a specific aim but it has impact to only individual that is women. So the second is redemptive movement. Refers to the movement that also focus on the individual but they seek total not partial changes. So these are the movement that want to change someone or focus on someone individual but not on particular change, not in big change. So the second and the third movement is reformative movement. It refers to movement that emphasize changing society rather than individual. Their aim is moderate or partial change since they view the present social order as basically workable. The fourth is transformative mo- movement. Refers to the movement that aim to total change in existing social order. There is a need to restructure or completely overhead the over of the existing structure which member perceive on the unjust exploit and anti people's well-being. So this movement would be the best example is the political. So their aim is to change the whole country or want to change something in their administration. So that's the types of social media.
Panagdait sa tanan. My name is Rome Benedict N. Mendoza, and I will report about mass communication and mass media. What is mass communication and mass media? It is a collective behavior and social movement. The movements depends heavily on mass communication among many people. So let's dig deeper about mass communication. What is mass communication? Well, mass communication is like a big system for sending messages to a lot of people at once. It's like organized talking through things like newspapers, TV, or website. The goal is to share information with a huge number of people altogether. So ang goal daw ni mass communication is to share the information. Next we have is mass media. What is mass media? Mass media is the stuff we use to do mass communication. Again, mass media is the stuff we use to do mass communication. These are things like newspapers, TV shows, radios, websites, and social media. An example of that is kaning nga report. Kaning akong laptop nga gigamit. And kaning akong cellphone pag-chat. So they are like tools we use to spread information to a big crowd of people. Because nowadays, so many people use media, rather. So sa karon kay nowadays kay kanang grabe na jud kayo ang use of technology, use of media. So mass media is very important for in how we share information in our society. Sa mass media natay duha. We have print and broadcast. Print involves printing. An example of that is photocopy, duplications, photographs, newspapers, magazines, tabloids, journals, books, pamphlets, and anything that involves printing. Next we have is broadcast. Broadcast is the distribution of audio and or by video signal transmits program to an audience. So it's like kanang nag-involve na siya og audio, nag-involve na siya og image, nag-involve video or nana. Kagaya ning report, this is considered as broadcast. So an example of that is like news, kanang commercials, documentaries, infomercials, mga radio, television. Mana siya ang examples of sa broadcast. Next we have is the purpose of mass media. So, daghan kayo purpose si mass media. Number one is to provide information to a large number of people. Mass media tells many people about what's happening in the world through news, TVs, websites, and newspaper. So, nag-provide si mass media og information sa atoa. Next we have is to provide education to the masses. Nag-provide siya og education. Mass media helps people learn through TV shows, mga kanang maka-help siya og kanabitang educate. Oo, si mass media kay mag-share man gud siya og information. Number 3 is to clarify issues and social concerns. Now, mass media helps people about what's happening in the world. So, 'di ba, kay grabe naman jud ato ang use sa media karon. So, makabalo ta through mass media sa mga nahitabo sa ato ang world. Next is to provide entertainment. Obviously, naga-provide siya entertainment. Para sa para sa akong cellphone, para sa magdulat ta og ML, magdulat ta og movies, maglantaw ta og movies, maminaw ta og music. So, naka-provide siya og information sa to. Next we have is to clarify issues and social concerns. Explaining, kanama mag-explain og mga important stuffs. Mass media helps us to understand important topics and problems in society. So, kanang through, for example, kanang sa news, kanang mga reports, TV news, mga inaana. So, naka-help siya sa to address certain issues para aware po ta. Next is, it provides avenues for expressions of partisan and non-partisan. Kani kay mass media lets people talk about what they think, what their opinions are about this certain, for example, political party, or sharing their thoughts with each other. So, ito siya. Next is to provide avenues for service announcements. Si mass media kay naka-provide siya mo ni siya ang one sa iyahang kanang pros kay mass media tells us about things happening in our community. For example, kanang naay landslide, 'di ba? Kay naay mo text sa to ang cellphone nga naay landslide. So, 'di ba, it's very useful. Next is to generate public opinion or call for collective behavior and social movements. So, murag influencing people's thoughts and actions. Mass media can change how people think or act by talking about important issues and encouraging them to join social movements. Last is it lets people express their feelings. Mass media gives people a way to share how they feel. So, murag si mass media daw kay mo siya bridge, tulay para makashare ta sa unsa ato ang na-feel, whether happiness, anger, sadness, or anything nga ato ang na-feel, ma-express ato siya through mass media. So, those are the purposes of mass media. Now let's move on to the negative effects of mass media. Number one is twisting information for special interests. Kani kay kanang murag relatable jud kayo ni siya sa to kay it involves manipulation of information sa mga nakita nato. The manipulation mo na siya ma-manipulate sa mass media ang mga information nato ang nakuha. For example, Wikipedia. Wikipedia is editable. So, one examples of kanang ma-manipulate nato siya. Next is the manipulation of large group of people through media outlets for benefit of a particular political party and or group of people. For a while. So, mo to siya. Using media to control people politically. So, media can be used to trick lots of people into supporting a certain political party or group. They might show only one-sided of a story. So, murag manipulation gyapon siya, di ba? Kay murag, for example, in a political group, kay murag ang kaayo lang ang ginapakita. How about those kanang characteristics and behaviors ay sa political group nga very unpleasant na mga inaana. So, more bitag one-sided kayo ang story. So, mahagbong siya og negative effect. Next we have is bias. Kani. Having bias. So, sometimes the news is fair, sometimes the news is not fair. It might favor some people, pero dili siya maka-favor sa uban. So, muna siya, bias lagi siya. It is making it hard to see the whole picture. Murag bitaw, murag yapon siya connected rin sa tanan kay murag sa bias kay murag one picture atong nakita and there are a lot of pictures pero one atong nakita. Dayon sa isa sa kaayo ra pud siya sa in a certain group or individual, murag inana or issues or something. Bias. So muna siya ang bias. Next is we have changing the truth for money power. Kani, social media twist truths to make money. So, kani siya kay very relatable, very abundant siya in terms of news. It is only to please people for power and money. Even if it means lying, they are willing to do it. So, nahagbong po siya into negative effect of mass media. Next is we have medias acting like pets to big companies. Instead of keeping an eye on powerful folks, some media just do whatever big companies want. So one of the downfall pod ni kay murag sundon nila bitaw ang mga gusto sa mga big companies ung unsay gusto ipagawas nga news sa mga big companies murag maura pud to ang ipagawas. So it is very negative. So to corporate media is not a watchdog, dili na siya watchdog, instead nahimo na siyang lapdogs kay 'di ba ang watchdogs kay mura siya og like CCTVs ato then ang lapdogs kay murag itoy-itoy. So instead of being watchdog nahagbong na og lapdogs si mass media. Last is a good number of propagandas, advertisements, and infomercials convey half-truth messages using logical fallacies as propaganda techniques. Kani siya kay very relatable. It is using tricks to influence us. Advertisements and other messages can trick us by only telling part of the truth or using sneaky tricks to make us believe something that might not be true. For example, in an advertisement, for example, panglitan lang ha, burger. Sa burger, kay na ay kompleto, na ay patty, na ay cabbage, na ay lettuce, na ay cucumbers, na tanan, mga sauce, daghan kayo. Pero inig order ni mo siya in real life kay murag, ha, mo na lang ni. So, 'di ba? Then napod siya ay kanang dito siya sa advertisements. Sa news pod kay kanang murag gihapon mahagbong nga gihapon siya manipulation. So, mo to siya ang like negative effects or mga ang negative characteristics sa mass media. So, that would be all. Thank you.
So now let us move on to the meaning and nature of propaganda. So propaganda is a form of communication aimed at influencing the attitude of a community towards some cause or position. It often presents facts selectively to encourage a particular synthesis or uses loaded messages to produce an emotional rather than rational response to the information being presented. Propaganda is a neutrally defined as a systematic form of purposeful persuasion that attempts to influence the emotion, attitudes, opinions, and actions of specified target audiences for ideological, political, or even commercial purposes through the controlled transmission of one-sided messages via mass and direct media channels. According to Garth Jowett and Victoria O'Donnell, they have provided a concise, workable definition of the term propaganda. So, to them, propaganda is a deliberate, systematic attempt to shape perceptions, manipulate cognitions, and direct behavior to achieve a response that furthers the desired intent of the propagandist. So, propaganda is very common nowadays, even before, but today in 21st century, it has become very common, especially for the elder people. They're often being the target audience for this propaganda, and oftentimes the old people or the elderly people are easily convinced of this propaganda. It is because or due to the fact that they do not have some abilities to double check or fact check the information that are being presented to them. That is why most of the time propaganda is harmful to the community, to the target audience, to whichever group of people that are being affected of this movement. So there are so many ways to spread propaganda across the globe or even in our local area. There are so many ways to spread propaganda, such as leaflets. They spread propaganda messages through these leaflets, radio, movies, and even movies. That is one of the common ways. And television, news reports, government reports, editorials, books, magazines, campaign materials, talk shows, and even posters. Philippines is not an exemption of the spread of propaganda here. In fact, during last election, presidential election, there's so many propagandas that are spread throughout the internet, especially on the internet, and most especially on TikTok and Facebook. So, majority of the time, people are combating propaganda, false informations, and disinformations, and so on and so forth. But despite the effort of our professionals, our lawyers, teachers, our fact checkers, our journalists, to combat the disinformation and the spread of propaganda messages during at that time, many still believe, because this is due to the fact that they do not still have the ability to fact check or at least double check the information that they've got. They just believe whatever information that are being presented to them, and that's it. And majority of the people who believe those disinformation or false information on the internet were elderly people, So those are the common media for transmitting propaganda messages. Now we have some propaganda techniques. A number of propaganda techniques use logical fallacies, which, while sometimes may be convincing, but they are not necessarily true or valid. Most of them. We have many examples here, one of which is the ad nauseam or repetition, a Latin phrase that means tireless repetition of an idea that is repeated enough times may be taken as the truth. Sometimes when a person lies too much, and especially if he keeps on or she keeps on repeating the lies over and over and over again, there's a tendency that the person that is listening to that person talking about the lies will be convinced. And also, most of the time, a person who lies too much also convinces himself that what he's saying is true. They do not have any sense of. Personally, I have encountered this kind of propaganda technique, especially during the presidential election last years. So there are propagandists, there are trolls on Facebook and on Twitter that created videos of saying there was no massacre happened during the dark ages in the Philippines. They say that the killings did not happen. Maybe a few people were killed, but not in thousands, which are false. As of course, as a granddaughter of a woman who had an experience of abuse under the military illegal occupation in the Philippines, especially in Mindanao, she never failed to tell me her stories, how her relatives died in the hands of military occupation or armed military abuses. And our story is just one of the thousands of people. And we have living survivors that can tell you what happened during the time, what happened with their family, what happened to them. And those trolls on Facebook and on Twitter repeatedly made videos and photos, Photoshop photos and Photoshop videos that shows that there's no such thing ever happened, nobody was killed, nobody was abused, etc., etc. And people fell on that lie because they are shown on every platform over and over and over again. So people started to believe, maybe this is true because I've seen this on the other platform and I've also heard this on the other platform. I have read this over and over again. So now they're believing that there's no such thing happened. However, the graves of our people tells otherwise. So that's a personal example I can give you. And even my friends and her family or their ancestors that did not experience any form of abuse in the past, they also believe that there's no such thing happened. However, if it did not happen to you, if it didn't happen to you, it doesn't mean it did not happen at all. It happened to us, it happened to many. So yeah, we're just one of the few examples that are very affected of this kind of propaganda, and we're still kind of like fighting for our rights and the recognition of what happened to us back then. Another example of propaganda technique is ad hominem. This Latin phrase, it means attacking your opponent opposed to attacking their arguments. Excuse me. Example, my opponent is a congenital liar. Another one is appeal to fear. This approach seeks to build support by arousing panic and anxieties in people. For example, when they spread the idea that El Nino phenomenon is real, that we have to save water to save ourselves. The part that we have to save water and save ourselves, it's true and it's a good cause. However, the El Nino phenomenon is real, and at that time, there's no El Nino phenomenon going on. That time, it was fine. So they caused panic in people and anxieties to people. We were buying things that are probably necessary for the upcoming El Nino phenomenon, and people were fighting over water resources. So yeah, that's one of the examples. Another one is the appeal to prejudice. This refers to the emotional prejudgment and sided argument against a group of people based on real or imagined characteristics. Example, beware of the Antichrist communists. So these are very harmful because not only they also cause panic and unfair judgment toward certain people, but it can also lead to harmful or violent reactions against that certain people that are being unfairly judged. Another is jump on the bandwagon. This includes the inevitable victory and join the crowd appeals. It means staying aboard is the best course action and everybody is doing it. Another one is the black and white fallacy. This approach presents only two choices, with the product or idea being propagated as the better choice. For example, either you are with us or against us. Oftentimes people use this phrase over an ideology when people don't believe on a certain ideology or a certain perspective. They will accuse you of something that you do not belong to them because you are different. You believe in something else, that you are lower in status or probably lower in moral compass than them. So they're gonna say that either you are with us or against us. There's no in between. There's no gray in between. It's black and white policy. And then we have testimonials. These are quotations or statements in or out of context, especially cited to support or reject a given policy, action, program, or personality. The reputation, respectability, or expertise of a celebrity, expert, or popular figure is exploited by asking him or her to endorse an idea or a product. And then we also have the beautiful people. This propaganda deals with famous people or depict attractive, happy people. This makes other people think that if they be a product or follow a certain ideology, they too will be happy or success. This is very common in the market in commercial setting. Celebrities and influencers are being pulled in, pulled out, left and right to review a certain product and hoping to get a good review from them in order for the companies to sell things and promote their products. So even though the products are not that good, they're not any better, these influencers and celebrities oftentimes say that they are indeed good, that they are indeed best for any people in any ages, in any types of skin, or it's all for the people. It's good for all kinds of people, all types of people. And most of the time, people fell on to this propaganda, commercial propaganda, and they buy products or they consume products more than they should. And that's also the problem here in the Philippines, the amount of products that are being consumed, which are not necessarily should be, and of course doesn't have really great effects on our bodies, or at least in our skin, in our daily lives, but we consume more due to these influencers and celebrities. They convinced us. They have very good marketing strategies, and that's why people are becoming influencers these days, because companies want them, especially those that are very good in talking and convincing people. Another is the transfer or association. This is a technique that involves project the positive or negative qualities of one person, entity, object, or values onto another to make the second more acceptable or to discredit it. And last, not the last, but one of the destructive forms of propaganda movement is the and technique propaganda technique is the name calling or demonizing the enemy. This refers to the giving of a derogatory name to a person or group to make people reject or condemn that person or the idea of that person or group without examining the evidence. The idea is to make the opponent appear to be subhuman, worthless, or immoral through suggestion or false accusation. Example, using the term terrorists, demons, ilks, perverts as derogatory name. Name calling or demonizing the enemy are very common during wartime and even in the colonial period, where the powerful nation or the people in power often see the people that are not in line with their beliefs and practices and basically standard of living as subhuman to them. To them, they are barbaric. To them, they are animals. To them, they are subhuman that needed to be civilized in European or Western ways. Now, even in the 21st century, these kind of racism and propaganda technique is very still apparent and common, especially in the Western world. Now, these types of false information and propaganda communications are very harmful and are leveraged by the powerful people that aims to keep the harmful system of control against people or against people of color in the case of black and brown people. And most of the times, oftentimes, these communications are very rooted in white supremacy. And apart from wartime and colonial period or colonial activities, these name calling and demonizing the enemy are often also used by the politicians to sway voters. So sometimes we can see politicians from every part of the globe. They often portray the other candidates or at least their rivals as something that is lower to them in status or in every aspect in order for a public support, in order for them to gain a public support and also gain voters and also to sway voters. As a Muslim, I have a very good example of this one. Not majority, but many people call us terrorists or bad people because of our resistance against oppression or against unfair treatment from the national and from other certain group of people. We resist from, or our resistance often viewed as violence or violent and not a good thing. But people fail to do their own research of what are we exactly fighting for, what are we exactly resisting for and from. So they often tell us terrorists, Muslim people are terrorists, blah blah blah. They say that all the time. And one of the relevant and very recent and still very relevant is the war on the other side of the globe. This may be a very controversial and sensitive topic. However, we cannot disregard the fact that the people in power use propaganda movement, especially name calling, demonizing the enemy, dehumanization of certain group of people in order for them to achieve the goal that they want to against the certain types of people or the certain group of people. It's unfair, it's unjust, and it's inhumane to call these people terrorists, demons, perverts, animals, etc., without any basis, without any reason, just so you can do whatever you want to against them. And the Western world had done this so many times against us, especially as Muslims. They portrayed us so many times in movies, in news reports, in books. They portrayed us as bad people, as terrorists. And there are news headlines from the mainstream media that they say, or they use the term or the phrase Arab world or Muslim world, just so you can put a division in people. They want us to be perceived as different from the rest of the world, so that it doesn't make sense to me. Even when I was younger, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you say Arab world or Muslim world when we all live in the same world? We all live in the same earth. So in the past, and to some people, that phrase may not feel as offensive or insensitive to them, but it is to us, because that's how they play these cards, and that's how they slowly but surely put into people's minds that Muslims are different, they have different worlds. They do not belong to us, we do not belong to them. The dehumanization of our people in the past was so intense, but right now they blatantly dehumanize our people on our faces, on the mainstream media, on newspaper. They do not deny it at all right now. They blatantly do it. You can watch them on the news, how they portray us right now, what they say about us right now. They do not hide it anymore because of their political goals. So maybe I can give some link or evidence of how they dehumanize us right now in modern times, especially right now in 2024. You can see non-governmental organizations approach representatives, congressmen, congresswomen. They ask them, what do you think about the Muslim people? What do you think about this and that? They blatantly say derogatory words against us. It's apparent, it's blatant. Another example of one of the propaganda techniques is the glittering generalities. These are emotionally loaded words, stereotypes applied to an idea or analysis. Example, the campaign slogan, "Si ang lulutas ng ating kahirapan," or "Sino ang lulutas ng ating kahirapan?" Sasaya lamang ang handaan kapag may inuman. Ilocanos are kuripot. So we embodied this type of ideology that especially sino ang lulutas ng ating kahirapan, sasaya lamang ang handaan kapag may inuman. It's very Pinoy. Unfortunately, many of us carries these ideas, and it's not good. It's not good for an individual. It doesn't make an improvement on a certain individual, or at least to the majority, because it is stereotypical. And in modern times, we should probably be better than this. Another one is plain folk or common man. This approach attempts to convince others that the propagandist's positions reflect the common sense of the people. The propagandist seeks to identify with the common tao in order to win their support and confidence. Example during elections. Elections is the time that the common people are being included. We are being heard, we are being talked to, we are being approached to. But rich politicians recall their lowly origins and take a pro-poor and pro-mass stance. Campaign slogans like champion of the masses and the poor man from Lubao. Scapegoating, another form of propaganda techniques. This is assigning blame to an individual or group, thus alleviating feelings of guilt from responsible parties and or distracting attention from the need to fix the actual problem for which blame is being assigned. Example is the passing the blame among members of Congress on the economic crisis of the country. Another example, very common one, is the victim blaming. This is controversial or this is sensitive, but victim blaming, especially for rape cases, violent cases, they often blame the women. They often blame the women because the woman may or maybe wore something provocative, maybe a skirt, maybe a spaghetti top, or maybe anything that shows skin, and they blame the woman or the women on this. And to them, it is because women wear this, that's why they acted the way they acted, which is very wrong. And it's harmful, it's inhumane, and it's unfair to the victim. I believe that no violence should be committed against any certain people or people in general just because they say this, they do this, they wear this and that. So this one is a very, very, very harmful one, and this scapegoating propaganda technique actually puts the actually puts the lives of many people in danger, because people would believe that it's actually their fault because they wear something like this, they say something like this, they did something like this, so they deserve to be punished, they deserve to be violated. No, it's not. It's very wrong. We should be better. And yeah, apart from political scapegoating, we also have victim blaming in the common people, regular people, and I think that should also be addressed. Last one is the euphoria. Euphoria, it refers to the use of an event that generates euphoria or happiness, or using an appealing event to boost morale. Example, declaring a holiday or mounting a parade with bands and patriotic messages. Very good example is the EDSA holiday. So we're still going back to the past and celebrating these types of holiday and commemorating everything that happened at that time, the political movement at that time, the goals at that time. So yeah, euphoria is very also. But right now we are slowly doing better with regards to euphoria. We're starting from the EDSA holiday, and that is actually good. So that's all.
So our last topic is social consequences of collective behavior and social movement. So The consequences of social behavior and social movement is collective behavior becomes a vehicle for release of aroused feelings, accumulated tension, anxieties, and discontent. So this means that collective behavior becomes a bridge or a resources that can we show our feelings to each other. It can accumulate or give give uh, a way to express ourselves. So the second is collective behavior and social movement can contribute to social change and improvement. They can result in wage increase and granting of benefits, new piece of legislation. So collective behavior and social movement can change or alter our social change, or it can improve our society. The third is social movement lead to some basic changes in social structure and politics, example, labor, movement, human rights. So these consequences is it can change social structure like how you work, what the what is the structure of the society. Four consequences is social movement may result in new institutions which new and radical values or in a preservation of social order. This is like the EDSA evolution outside of dictator of the restoration of democracy in the country. So this consequences is the uh, mm, social movement where people change or lead to outside of the problem. The fifth is collective behavior and social movement may result in new direction of culture and establish of new folkways and mores and values. So cultural behavior can change or can add or can develop a culture and establish new folkways or mores values to the society. It can change or improve our society. So this is the last topic of the group 4. This is Shinalin Luxin. Now, good night.